Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for listening to Magic 102.9 FM. My name is Ben Mwatu. It's 29 minutes before the hour of 1. Last week, we did kick off a program known as Umunneato R. Well, on that particular edition, the maiden edition, we did talk about the Abia Charter of Equity, why the Ukwa Council of Elders are throwing their weight behind the arguments that the next governor should come from Umunneato axis of Abia State. Well, the conversation continues today. We'll be looking at some other sundry issues surrounding who would emerge the governor in 2023. And of course, I have some members of Ukwa Council of Elders. Let's start with St. Moses Ogbonna, the only living saint, a member of Ukwa Council of Elders. Good afternoon to you, St. Moses.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and good afternoon, Abians.
We also have Dr. Eugene Ngwa, a member of Ukwa Council of Elders. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ben, and good afternoon, people of Abia State.
All right, so good to have you. Okay, for you, the listener, do well to oblige us your time. In the next 57 minutes or thereabout, we'll get to talk about sundry issues concerning where the next governor should come from. Let's start the conversation this way, elders. Umunneato, I understand, is made up of many local government areas. St. Moses, can you help us? How many local government areas make up Umunneato?
Umunneato is just a sub area of Ukwa.
Okay.
When we are talking about Umunneato, we are not just saying that it is Umunneato that must produce the governor. We are saying it is the Ukwa area of Umunneato area of Ukwa. And we are not just saying that it is the Umunneato alone. The whole Abia must produce their governor. But because of the zoning formula that has been agreed upon by the entire Abia people, the next governor ought to come from Umunneato area. And the Umunneato area we are talking about is from Abia Central. Abia Central is made up of 6 local governments. We talk about Umuaya North, Umuaya South, and the Ukwa, okay, which is Umunneato of Umuaya. And the Ngwa North, Ngwa South, and the Osisioma of Umunneato of Ukwa. And we are saying, since when initially the governorship position rolled into the Abia Central, and the Umunneato Umuaya took it by the immediate past governor of Abia State, Governor T.H., His Excellency, with due respect, a very fine man, a man of equity, who ensured that equity is actualized in Abia State. That this time around that it is rolling back to Central from Abia South. Equity means that it has to come into Umunneato Ngwa, which is anybody from Abia North, Abia South, and Abia, anybody from Ngwa North, Ngwa South, and Osisioma. It does not matter the part.
All right. Just while you were talking, we're joined by a third elder from the Ukwa Council of Elders. Let's meet you, sir.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here with you, gentlemen.
All right.
My name is Dr. Moses Ayodele Oji.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Moses Ayodele.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's come to you, Dr. Ngwa.
Yes.
We, St. Moses, has been able to make us understand that there are 6 local government areas making up Umunneato, and out of the 6, 3 belong to the Umuaya axis, 3 belong to the Ukwa axis. Yes. Now, amongst the 3 in Ukwa axis, have you agreed within yourselves to say the next governor should emerge from a particular local government amongst the 3?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ben. The issue is that of equity, like you have pointed out. So, to answer your question more directly, the position actually belongs to the people of the 3 local governments. And it is left for the 3 local governments to do a type of micro-zoning to find out which of them within the 3 local governments will produce the governor. So if you're asking me, have we found out who will be? Yes, we are on the process, and before you know it, the primaries in the political parties will be held. That is between the 28th and 30th of this month. So all the parties will expect that they will respect this pact of equity and produce the governorship candidate from any of these 3 local governments. That is Isialangwa North, Isialangwa South, and Osisiomangwa local government.
Okay, there have been speculations that the governor may have anointed someone. Are you in the know as to who this anointed candidate is or aspirant is? Because we don't have a candidate yet.
Yes, we have people within the PDP, because the governor belongs to the PDP. And for now, we have a prominent candidate in the name of Professor Ikonne, who is coming up to vie for the seat. But like in a democratic process, we expect that he will also go through the process, the electionary process, because not many of us are comfortable with the word used now, anointed, as if the governor is forcing the professor on the people. It is there for the people through the party processes to come up with their candidate, and that candidate will be acceptable to everybody. So I wouldn't buy your language of anointing or to say specifically. Well, the governor is a Democrat.
Anointing doesn't mean forcing. Anointing, anointing simply means the governor has a favorite aspirant.
You know, the way our people understand some of these things, when they talk already and say he has anointed these people, many people.
Yes, he may have anointed someone, but he hasn't prevented other people from buying.
Okay.
Let's get that straight. Because as we speak, lots of people have actually bought forms from the PDP itself.
Yes.
Not to talk about other political parties.
Yes, the governor has a right to indicate, and the flash his torchlight. But there are other people from Umunneato that are also in PDP, that are also vying. It is like he said, when the PDP has brought up their candidate from Umunneato, as we also expect APC to bring up their candidate from Umunneato, as we also expect Abia from Umunneato, that process is talking about. We take care of it. How we are going to resolve it, the people will now be involved, including Abia North, Abia South. They will now look at the 3 or the people that came or were produced by the different parties from Umunneato to elect whom they want.
Okay, let's bring in Dr. Ayodele into the conversation. Ukwa Council of Elders, you are all members of that council. Have you reached out to other local government areas beyond talking on radio?
The fundamental thing is that the imperative of the moment is that we should all zero into the Umunneato. That is the 3 local governments of the old Abia division that have found themselves to be in Abia Central. That is the fundamental and the imperative of the moment. I think by when the candidates must have emerged from these parties, from all the parties in this zone, then the issue of reach out will commence. But don't be surprised that there is no way we could have arrived at this formula without the input of others. We are not the only lovers of equity. And what actually is equity? Equity is doing that which is in concordance with natural justice and fair-mindedness. And it is a natural attribute that is imbued in us by nature. Even though a politician may wish to argue against it, he is not fundamentally against it because he has conscience. The truth of the matter is that in the formation of Abia Charter of Equity, there were 2 distinctive groups that were actually enunciated in that document, and that was the people of the old Abia division and the people of the old Umuahia division. That distinctiveness is what informed the charter, which was called the Charter of Equity, which recognized two different cultural and political blocks.
Okay, so sorry to interrupt at this point. I had to ask that question because as we speak, some notable traditional rulers from Abia North have come together to say that before the 2019 election, an agreement was reached. Signatures, names were mentioned.
Yeah.
So, if Ngwa people entered into that agreement, why are we having this debate now?
And I tell you one of the functions of equity. He who seeks equity must do equity. And equity does not favor the indolent. I'm not aware of this document, but that does not mean it doesn't exist. But even if it exists, there's one fundamental question we would ask. I seem to hear this argument coming from our brothers from Ukwa and Umunneato axis. But the truth of the matter is that I have the results of the governorship election of 2015 and 2019. If you are asking me to drop my ambition because I'm going to support you, then I should be able to show that support through the returns on the election day. The truth of the matter is that both Umunneato and the Ukwa, none of them gave our candidate from Old Abia not to 15% of their votes. And the results are there. So if you are unable to do equity, why should you expect equity in the first place? So, but the fundamental truth remains that that may be the decision of some people that were desperate to have the ticket. Unfortunately, our brothers from the Ukwa axis did not do equity. So they have no right to ask for equity when they do not have the clean hands for asking for it in the first place. That's the fundamental flaw in their demand. It is enough to say it is not enough to say we entered into a document for equity. But you must do your own part of the bargain. Did they do it? That's the question.
If people from Ukwa and Umunneato that you mentioned decide not to vote for your candidates in the 2023 election, do you see a possibility of your candidate emerging the governor?
The truth of the matter is that the PDP is very, very solid in Umunneato and the Ukwa. And we have our men. We have argued this out with them. And they seem to understand our point. The truth of the matter is that when a particular politician is pushing his agenda, he will give you the impression that he's carrying everybody along. The people of Umunneato and the Ukwa know the damage which their candidates have done to their quest. You know, they had a candidate in 2015 and 2019, and quite a good number of them in the PDP argued against that candidate because of today. Now, the truth of the matter is that as we are today, there are a lot of people in Old Bend that knows that there was an infraction, and that infraction happened in 2007 when Governor Orji Uzor against all. In fact, the real people that should address the press on this issue are Governor Orji Uzor, former governor, and the immediate past governor, that is Senator T. Both of them are now senators. They know how this is supposed to be a ding-dong affair, a pendulum, a one-tick pendulum between Old Bend and the Old Abia division.
Well, I'm not
how
for
it
the
came
former governor, but he has said the next governor should come from Abia North.
He is not saying that with all his mind. If that actually is what he said, because he knows a lot about how this thing works. You see, let me tell you one thing. Nature is an accountant. If you force it to balance, it will give you a compensating error. The truth of the matter is that we are today grappling with the compensating error of that mistake of 2007. That is the truth of the matter, and they all know it. You cannot tell me that after Ukwa, after Afi Ozol, which is now 5 local governments, have left Old Bend, you are still talking of people that are less than 40% of Abia asking for more years after having 16. Now, Old Abia zone is today 61%. I will give you the data now. We are now 61% of the population. They are 39, with Afi Ozone and the Onhozora and Ubru going to Ebonyi. And you remember that the first tech was from there. Umunneato was from Old Bend. And he had his turn. Of course, the military truncated it. And when we came for the second tech, Orji Uzor took the seat, promising, as a matter of fact, in 1999 that he was going to do one term, that he had a national ambition and that was beyond Abia State. We all took him for it. He went for a second term, and against all expectation and against the spirit of equity, he still anointed a third candidate from Old Bend, and that was Senator T. Orji, who is now a senator. The truth of the matter is that Umunneato is now overripe for this seat, and we cannot argue against it. It is a convention that is known, and that's why I said it's the imperative of the moment. They all know it, but all of us will come together in a round table. This is what happens at the selection process. Once the candidate emerges, they all will fall in. Because the truth of the matter is that as at today, the candidate that that equity stands behind is the candidate from Umunneato. We don't even need to argue. That is simple logic, and it's there for all to see.
Whoever comes from Ukwa and Umunneato has a right of vie when it is their turn. We are talking about equity, the trekking of the train of governorship from Old Bende, Abia North, to Old Bende, Abia Central.
Okay.
Now to Abia Opalangwa, Abia South. And now it has rolled back to Opalangwa, Abia Central. It's Ukwa and Umunneato have their right to vie when it has rolled off from Opalangwa Central of Umunneato to Abia North, because the moment it exists from Old Abazon, it will now come to Abia North. And when it comes to Abia North, certainly we of the Umunneato and all of us of the Opalangwa will support another side of Old Bende or Abia North, which is either Ukwa or Umunneato. But for now, what is this in Opalangwa assay is that the essence from Abia North who entered into whatever agreement you are talking about to make sure our person goes in. That agreement still exists. That agreement will come into actualization when the thing has finished its 16 years.
Was that what was stated in the agreement? Because the
Every
in Abia
agreement
are saying it's supposed to come to them in 2023.
They said it is 2023. That agreement that has a conflict with the Abia Charter of Equity, to the extent of that conflict, it shall be declared null and void. It is like you entering into an agreement that conflicts with any section of the Constitution of Nigeria. To the extent of the conflict is that Abia Charter of Equity, which everybody agrees upon, says if Old Bende, then Okangwa.
The argument around this, but before we do that, the question would be, if you know it goes against the Abia Charter of Equity, why enter into such an agreement in the first place?
Who entered into that agreement? Were they doing that with their minds clear? Or is it done to achieve a particular, the spur of the moment? I think at the time they entered into that agreement, it was for the spur of the moment, not minding what the Abia Charter of Equity said. But now the Abia Charter of Equity is being quoted by everybody, including them. Then if we look at the agreement, you will see that the agreement has violated the section of Abia Charter of Equity that says there must be equity between Old Bende or Umunneato zone and Abazon.
Just joined us, you're listening to Umunneato right here on Magic 102.9 FM. And we have some guests from the Ukwa Council of Elders. We have St. Moses Ogbonna, the only living saint. We have Dr. Eugene Ngwa, and of course Dr. Ayodele. Well, we have been having a conversation around the 2023 governorship election in Abia State. Now, let's bring you in once again, Dr. Ngwa.
Yes.
This appears to be a PDP argument. Is it really a party thing, or it goes beyond the PDP?
Actually, it goes beyond the PDP. When you are talking of Abia State, you are talking of a group of 17 local governments put together for you to make others. And when you are talking of Abia Charter of Equity, you are talking of all these people that make up Abia State. So whether you are in PDP, in APC, or in ABGA, you are supposed to abide by the charter itself, by Charter of Equity. So it's not just a question of PDP alone. But you know, PDP has prominence because it happens to be the ruling party, and it's just the party to beat. Just like at the federal level, you have APC to beat. But the point has been made clear that we have a situation in our hand where two brothers, there's no quarreling. You have the old band, we have the Abia zone. These are just two brothers that make up, since Afipo, the people of Afipo has gone up to Ebonyi State. So within these two brothers, the movement of the governorship has been moving from Old Bend to Abia zone, and after Abia zone, it will go back to Old Bend, and they will now check within themselves which of the sub-zones that will produce the government. So to answer your question, I'm telling you quite frankly that all the parties are expected to respect this charter of equity, and I'm sure that those in APC and those in Abga are also looking at it. And before all the candidates emerge, I'm quite sure that the three candidates to contest this election will come from Abia Central.
Dr. Oji, okay, Moses Oji, all right. Is Ngwa Council of Elders? Is it a bipartisan organization?
From the very nature of its name, it's quite partisan. It's a socio-cultural organization with a very strong political undertone. Ngwa, as you may know or you may not know, assumed its political consciousness from the continued marginalization of our people. There's no time here to take you down memory lane. But the truth of the matter is that today we are a people. Ndi Ngwa are the people that inhabit, and that they are the indigenous people of old Abia division that eventually metamorphosed into Abia senatorial zone in the Second Republic. And they are today in the two local governments of Abia South and Umunneato of Abia Central. It's a socio-cultural organization, and we have some of our members in APC, in even the Social Democratic Party, and so on. So it's a socio-cultural organization, and we look into the affairs of Ngwa beyond PDP. I think the PDP issue is becoming so prominent because, like the immediate past speaker have said, the PDP is the ruling party. Is the ruling party in the state today. So it will appear as if we are dancing towards solving the PDP problem. The truth of the matter is that we today have 3 of our sons in the APC that are vying for the governorship, and they're from the Ngwa axis. And like I earlier said, the prevailing sentiment is that the next governor should come from the 3 local governments of Ngwa North, Ngwa South, and Ngwa local governments. They are the Umunneato, they are the Abia Central part of Abia, of old Abia division. That issue, like I had earlier said, is the imperative of the moment. And the truth of the matter is that beyond Ngwa, the idea seems to resonate beyond us. We are already into a form of alliance with our others who seem to agree with us. In fact, the majority of Abians agree with us. Like, the only thing is that in politics, there's what we normally say, it will be contested, and at the end of the day, the truth of the matter will come to the fore, and everybody will fall in line. I can assure you that anybody that will contest this election without carrying the banner of equity will be contesting the election with a lot of credibility deficit. I'm assuring you, and it will haunt him wherever he goes.
The Abia Charter of Equity was not written, was not an agreement that was made having PDP in mind, or APC. In fact, at that time, there was nothing like Abia State. It was written and created before Abia State was created. In fact, it was a document that was agreed upon that gave birth to what we call today Abia State. So, when we are talking of Abia Charter of Equity and zoning moving in now, is because it started from Abia North, or the Umuahia zone, senatorial zone, district of Abia State. One of the two parties that entered into this agreement. And if you look at the names of the people that signed the Abia Charter of Equity, they were not all PDP persons. So they had no party in mind. They believed that whichever party that was able to govern must, if he comes from particular zone, another party that will govern will begin from the zone that like what is happening now in Nigeria. Many people are clamoring for Southeast, for the presidential ticket. If Nigerians were sincere, all the parties will choose their candidates from Southeast. When one of the parties says, we are no longer going into zoning, it's because they are not sincere.
Okay, now that you've brought up the Abia Charter of Equity once again, does it transcend, or is it all about the governorship seat in Abia, or does it transcend the governorship? Does it go down to other political positions?
Yes, now, because any position that affects the two divides, that affects Abia State, if you are holding that position, it will be seen as if you are holding it for the totality of Abia State people. It must respect Abia Charter of Equity. For instance, if you are governor, your area cannot be deputy. Your area cannot be speaker. There are other positions like we have SSGs, those sensitive positions that if occupied, the people of other zones, when it is given to them, will be able to feel that they are part and parcel of the policy making of the state. That is what Abia Charter of Equity is talking about. It's not just talking about governorship now.
All right. Well, the program is interactive. Right now, we'll be making our phone lines available. If you have any question for the gentleman right in the studio, feel free to call any of our numbers: 0809 555 1029, 0809 666 1029, or 0907 677 1029. It's Umunneato R, right here on Magic 102.9 FM, and we have been looking at sundry issues surrounding the 2023 governorship race in Abia State. All right, so you're free to call any of those numbers: 009 555 1029, 009 666 1029, or 0907 677 1029. All right, thank you, Ekele.
Thank you very much. We have set up a committee, and that committee is doing their job, moving from one party to the other, and letting the parties know that if we must have Abia as a united state, if we must have people of Abia State, whether you are majority or minority, to have confidence in the governance of Abia State, you must respect the charter, so that when it is zoned to your place, people will give you respect. People will not mind how few you are, and they begin to look at who amongst you can be able to govern this state if given to. There is no area that is a repository of wisdom or that has the monopoly of knowing how to govern this state. Every place, no matter how few the people are, have their people who are able or who can be able to manage Abia State. If we don't go into zoning and if we don't go into rotation, such brains will be wasted. And that is why we are embarking on it, and we're making sure that equity will subsist and they continue to survive. I am saying that Abia Charter of Equity was before whatever agreement that was later entered. And if that agreement that you are quoting does not hinge upon the provisions of the Abia Charter of Equity, to the extent that it conflicts, it shall be declared null and void. That we agree that it's Ukwa and Umunneato people should have their turn when their turn becomes, not until then.
All right. Okay. Hello, good afternoon. You're welcome. Your name and location. Go ahead, David.
Yes,
Go ahead, we can hear you.
This is the third zone in other states, which have been in our mind street so long, which is the Abia North, South, and the Central. Now, speaking of this old Ben and not old Ben.
Okay.
From what you are saying, I can glean from what you have said so far. Nobody is saying that the zoning has been cancelled from Abia North, Central, and the South. No, that's not what we are saying. We are saying when you are zoning Abia North, Central, and South, you did not lose focus of the maintenance of Abia Charter of Equity of old Aba zone and the old Umaya zone. We are saying when it came to old Umaya zone, Abia North took their turn. When it rolled into Abia Central, old Abia, Aba Umaya zone also took their turn. In Central, the thing rolled down to Abia South, Ngwa. They took their turn, Abia South. Now it has rolled down to Abia Central, that Ngwa, Abia Central, will also take their turn for equity to be balanced. Yeah, when it rolls down to Abia North, then we can now be talking about either it's Ukwa or Umunneato.
And just to add to that, it might be necessary to remind you that when the Abia Charter of Equity was drawn up between the people of Old Aba Zone and Old Bend, it was between these two bodies. It is instructive to note that the basis for that Charter of Equity was the recognition that there are two distinct cultural and political entities in the state. That is the Old Bend and the Old Aba. And if the people of Old Bend have had two turns, one from the core Old Bend and the other from the Umuahe axis, it behoves
Umunneato axis of Central.
Yes, it behoves us from the Aba Zone to have theirs from the Abia South of Aba Zone, and then the Umunneato, that is the extraction that belongs to Abia Central from the old Aba Zone. I think this is simple logic. The fundamental thing is that for you to understand that there were two distinct political and cultural groups that were mentioned in that Charter of Equity, and you have to ask yourself, why was there a need for the Charter of Equity? It was because these two distinct groups was recognized as two political blocks different from each other. And so I don't know what you think of if the power should now go to Abia North.
He mentioned Afipo. I think his argument is since Afipo and other local government area have left Abia State, yes, does it not invalidate the Abia Charter of Equity?
Indeed, on the other hand, it re-emphasizes the Abia Charter of Equity. When Afipo left, the A was replaced with Arochukwu. Already, Abia Charter of Equity, Afipo Zone was part of Old Bend. That's why we are saying that they've had a triple take. The first take was from Umunneato, from Onitsha local government, which is now in Ebonyi. Then it was in Old Umuahe Neutral Zone, followed by Ojus Okalo. This is supposed to be a one tick pendulum, one tick on the other side. But they had three ticks. They had triple take. And that is what has caused this discomfiture.
All right.
And that's again, what we seek to balance. That's the truth.
And again, I want to tell you that when Afipo left Abia State, it did not invalidate Abia State. Abia State remained as Abia State. And the contemplation of Abia Charter of Equity was the sharing formula for power in Abia State. So because they have left, if it does not invalidate Abia State, to be named and given another name, it does not invalidate the Charter of Equity.
Okay, let's take more calls. Hello, good afternoon. You're welcome. Your name and location. Chigote, you're welcome. Go ahead.
You have three senatorial zones, which is you're having going on. Now, Ojus Okalo have said under Abia North, Senator, you take under Abia Central. Now, Ukwa have said, now, what is going on in this kind of politics? In that 2015, we didn't hear this. 2019, we did not even hear this particular thing you are talking about. chapter of equity of this. Because what we are talking about, okay, this goes back for the second tenor. Yeah, now it's going back now. We now start hearing chapter of equity. Let us do the military. All these things we are trying to do. We are trying to stabilize Abia State. Now, Abia North you are talking about, if they are going to grow this, now you are not saying Abia chapter of equity. You are saying, yeah, let us tell ourselves the truth. We all are Abia. We all are Abia.
Okay, maybe you should explain yourself
yes,
once again.
Let me enlighten him. Maybe he has
Abia
not
South
been.
is not planning to retain power.
No,
It
Abia
is
South
going
is
to
not.
Abia Central, going by
And
explanation.
let me tell him, before the thing came to central Umunneato, there was agitation. There was this song, Nenani Otuono, Nenani Otuono, and you make Otuono, Ono Kodo Uneme. That means you have done your Otuono in Abia North. Give the Ukwa people Otuono. After Ukwa people will do Otuono, you go back to you.
But they refuse.
But they refused. Instead of giving, if they were sincere, and I keep saying it, Ojuzo Kalu would have given it to Umunneato Central of Ukwa, we wouldn't have been this problem, into this problem we are having now. But because he chose to give it back to his people of the Central Divide, then it has come to Abia South. It will trek back. It has been trekking. He set it rolling. He removed the wings. He forbid it to fly. He forbid it to jump. He crippled it and make sure it was rolling and trekking. It has trekked from Abia North to Abia Central and trekked from Abia Central to Abia South. My brother, it is reversing and will be trekking. It cannot jump. It cannot fly. It cannot leap. It will trek back to Abia Central. And that Abia Central is the Ngwa Central.
All right, for those who may just join us, this is Umunneato R on Magic 102.9 FM, and we have some gentlemen from the Ngwa Council of Elders. We have Saint Moses Obona, the only living saint. We have Dr. Eugene Ngwa, and of course, Dr. Moses Oji. Okay, they are all
ordinary Moses, not a saint.
They are all members of the Ngwa Council of
At
Elders.
least Moses.
Okay, Saint Moses, when you came in, you were practically in a panic mode. You said there was a little disturbance in town. So I would like to know, what is Ngwa Council of Elders doing about the security situation in this part of Abia State?
Yes, I think we have requested for an audience with the governor. We don't like what is happening. We had to run and run before we entered this place. People were chasing people, beating up people for whatever reasons we do not know. I think the security apparatus of this state has to be met with. Let them reorganize themselves and assure the citizens that they are capable of maintaining peace and orderliness in this state. A situation will be moving on. I know that IPOB said, and they have said it loudly, that they have cancelled sit-at-home on Monday. That any sit-at-home order that does not come from their secretary, more powerful, does not come from them. And I think the government should sit up. The security apparatus should sit up. We have people who block us everywhere. On Tuesday, you see roadblock everywhere. On Wednesday, you see police everywhere. Checking particulars. I think the only training the police now have in Abia State is particulars of vehicle. I know IG said they must dismantle all the roadblocks. Stop checking particulars. What they should check is the boot. Whether you have a gun or you are carrying a gun, or is it a non-gun, unknown man, gun, whichever unknown, whether you are carrying them. But that is not the case here. On Mondays, you see them vanish in the street. You see the people left with their fate. We cannot see the what do you call them? Police on the street. We cannot see the army. We cannot see the Homeland Security. We cannot see the teamers. We cannot see the task force people who chase people about and they ask for a ticket. We cannot see them. But tomorrow, you see them on the street, chasing innocent citizens. If they do not want to address this thing, it will escalate. When the people will now raise up and say, no, enough is enough. And that is what they call, is it chaos or chaos?
Yes.
Let's hope it doesn't get to the chaotic level.
The French
Dr.
call it
Moore,
chaos.
Chaos.
Yes.
That's what the French call it.
I think, as it has been pointed out, we are elders of the land, the Ukwa land. So we are not entirely partisan, as people may look at it. We look at issues dispassionately, especially as it concerns our people. We are concerned about the situation of security in the place. And as elders of the land, we cannot just keep quiet when insecurity is all over the place and people can no longer do their business. So we are making an attempt, reaching everybody that has a stake in this land. It's not just only the police or the army. The elders and the people are involved. We are saying that we should allow peace to reign for a moment. We know we have a national crisis, and this crisis actually borders on what I call poverty, unemployment. And if we are to address this problem of insecurity, we must get down to its roots. Because if you do a cosmetic solution to it, it continues to resurface from time to time. So I'm calling on the government and every other person, let us come to a round table and look at our youth, look at the unemployment level, look at those who are supposed to be in school, who are not in school. Because this is continuing to generate tension all over the place. So as elders, my answer to that question is that we are going in now to look at Abia. Abia is now a shadow officer. And if you are sincere to yourself, this is not the Abia all of us know cherish. Abia has turned into something else. So therefore the elders, now we have to take a look at this thing, come out, discuss with the security agencies, discuss with even the IPOB. I don't believe that IPOB is not part of this. We have to discuss with IPOB, get onto the federal government and see how we can resolve this so that the place can roll again. That is my own view.
Well, like you said, some persons are even saying that if states like
Do you know the other day I was having
can set up a bigger
having
market.
a meeting in my house, and somebody sent a known government, not unknown, because they were wearing masks. They were boys giving 20,000 to go and kill whoever wasn't seen in my compound, and they came, scattered the whole place, and nobody has said anything. If we allow this thing to escalate from the unknown, where people are masked, to known, where people carry gun with their faces open, people from their compound, I think we are allowing a doomsday to approach.
Okay, Dr. G, you may want to lend your voice.
I really want to make in tone the fact that I want to say that when this sit at home started, the security men, the leaders in this state told us, went on air to tell people to go about their legitimate business. I'm surprised that this time around they are giving the impression that they've been overwhelmed. I don't see why there should be no security men parading our streets if some people don't want to obey that sit at home. It's not an official position. It is the position of some people. Even IPOB is denying that it is not from them. If you don't want the situation to degenerate, you should be able to enforce the legitimate right of those who want to obey the law and not to leave them at the mercy of miscreants who want to impose their will on the people. There's a woman, a widow beside me, and she can only cook this abacha on a daily basis. She has 3 children. And if this sit at home continues, you begin to wonder how she's going to make a living since she's a daily earner. How is she going to make a living to keep her children, keep body and soul together? So I think there's something fundamentally wrong about this sit at home. Why don't we, if you are so passionate about this thing, why not say, let us wear black ribbons on our hand every day? so as to show our displeasure, our sympathy with the young man that is incarcerated. Then do you know what we are losing every day we sit at home? So what I'm trying to say is that the security system should not give us the impression that they are allowing this to flourish in the southeast. If they were up and doing, they should be more up and doing on Mondays to give the impression that whosoever wants to come out is free and secure. That's my own position. As for the security situation in the country, and frankly speaking, it is an issue that goes beyond what we can say about here now. It's a fundamental issue that should be looked into. In fact, if there's an issue that should warrant a national conference, it is the security situation in Nigeria, because it is the fundamental thing that is making Nigeria to become a failed state. Okay. I can talk beyond this on this issue.
Okay, I also feel that we cannot, as elders, we cannot entirely overlook the issue of Nnamdi Kanu in this matter.
At all.
So if the elders are pleading with the federal government to release this young man, the elders are not wrong too. We can approach this issue from its dimension, the old dimension. So as elders, we're also looking at the possibility of continuous mounting pressure on the federal government to release the young man, so that peace can return to the southeast. And if that is what it takes to bring peace to the southeast, why not?
But no, what we are saying is that even Nnamdi Kanu himself said, according to Solution, that the only day they recognize that they should be sit at home is when he is taken to the court. That other sit at homes were done by miscreants and criminals.
Fifth columnists.
They have said so. Now, what is the fear of the government to say now? Because I think that even the government are in sympathy with Nnamdi Kanu, as every one of us are. But all these other ones that will come to tell you, there's a voice note that is being circulated 17, 18, 19, 20. Everybody should sit at home. Doing what? Are you shutting down the business of your people?
The people you claim to be
protected. Claim to be protected. So if these people, and IPOB says, it is not we did not ask whoever sent the voice. And you will be stupid to be on the street to know that when your head is caught, that it is either a miscreant that said it or IPOB that said it. So the government should do something, which they are not doing. They are too passive. All the security agencies, from the ministries, Homeland Security, police, army, they have not shown us that they have anything to do in order to protect the lives and properties of the citizens. And we think the elders will call on the governor and we will address this issue.
Okay, let's go back to the phone lines. 009 555 1029, 009 666 1029, or 0907 677 1029. It's Umunneato R, right here on Magic 102.9 FM. Hello, good afternoon. You're welcome. Your name and location. Thank you for joining us, Monsieur.
And they made some allegations. So I don't know if the elders have also called them to reconcile with him in projecting Professor Dickens. That has been my all this one. So I look forward to the men in the studio answering this question, because when one is not happy about the development or everything, I don't think even if he knows the trauma, he can also go ahead to talk about that emergency. That's my worry.
All right, thank you, Elijah. Well, last week we did mention something like that. It appears even amongst the Ukwa axis, there are people who are, fighting themselves. We did talk about Senator Enya Baribe last week.
Elders Council is not interested in the party, internal party wranglings. Any of the party men who chose to come to the studio to seek for support is free to do that. But I think when Cheto Benekbe ought to go is the party, not the studio.
And the public.
If he comes to the public, I do not think there is anything the public can do for him.
At this point.
At this point in time, because it is either the delegates believe in him or not. What he is flaunting to the public is what he did with the governor or the government.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. And another quarter has come to say, you have not even the power to go into what we are alleging to do. And the money you are talking about has not been paid. So, if he helped the government on one thing or the other, does not necessarily mean that the government or governance should now be handed over to him because he helped Okezi Ibazu. That is their business. They are party people. Let anybody who cares, including you who is asking the question, tell him to go back to his party. The Elders Council are not interested in that.
And besides, let me use this opportunity to lend my voice to an issue that all contestants from the Ngwa axis must take into consideration. The heart prompts a man, but the head should act as the check valve. You don't just because you want to become a governor, then you throw away the baby with the bathwater. There are certain common denominators that hold us together as a people, and you do not fritter that goodwill away just because you are displeased. As a matter of fact, you can feel bad because of certain things you observe or you suspect, but at the same time, the way you comport yourself in a difficult situation is a mark of your maturity, whether you are really qualified and capable of being a governor or not. You don't say things that will question your integrity and maturity as a public officer. I sincerely believe that we should have a common denomination beyond which we don't go below, because we are seeking a public office. There is nothing that prevents anybody from being a governor, but you don't have to enter into the rest with that entitlement mentality that it must be you or the whole earth will get loose. Right. I don't think we support that. We don't support that here.
Okay, Dr. Ngwa.
Yes, it has been pointed out, we are elders. We are not essentially party men or causing a problem within the political parties. We expect the political parties to be matured enough, do their thing, do the processes, and come up with a candidate that has capacity to deal with the problem. All of us know that Abia State has to move forward. So whatever the PDP is doing, whatever APC, whatever the Abga people are doing, what we want is a capable person who will come up to move this state forward.
But the person must be from
yes, Abazor and from Abia Center.
All right.
That is our position.
St. Moses, let's have your parting words.
Yes, finally, the Elders Council will address issues that are brought to them, not the ones that are thrown into the open to the public. The public will have to address the issue.
Okay.
Yes. So the case of Fincheto Murepe has not come to the notice of the Elders Council.
Okay, Dr. Oji, any parting word?
My parting word is that we should depersonalize the battle to do equity. We must all join hands to do equity. Not only those of us in Ngwa, but the whole state. And that, of course, the imperative of the moment is that power should go to Umunneato. No doubt about that.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Moses Oji. Thank you, Dr. Eugene Ngwa. And, of course, and Saint Moses Ogbonna, the only living saint. Thank you for coming around this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
It's a wrap on this week's edition of the program Umunneato On. Do join us same time next week. My name is Ben Mwatu.